see my screen. Let me get myself up so I can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so hopefully you're all here for the pension statement blocks and quarantines part 2. If not, you're in the wrong place. So, pension statements. The scheme year end is 31st of March, i.e. today. And once your March return has been received and we've processed it, we then go on to producing the benefit statements. If there are any queries or problems with anything that you sent in, it will create blocks and quarantines. So ensure your monthly return is fully completed. I hope by now most of you will have sent in your monthly return because they were asking for the money by yesterday. So if you haven't been to the webinar, then I think you've probably missed it and you'll have to look at it on the website. Please complete all your blocks and quarantines as quickly as possible, because just because you've completed it once doesn't necessarily mean it won't come back out to you if there is another problem with it, or the answer you've given us throws up another query. We need by law to issue all the statements by the end of August. So it is important that you keep checking your boxes, your work trays, and keep things moving forward as quickly as possible so that we can get everything done. Right, your March return, I'll just go through this really quickly because, as I say, hopefully you've all done it now. You need to include all active members, whether they've worked in March or not. So any casuals that haven't worked need to be on the return. You need to complete the annual rate of pay column, which is the final column on the spreadsheet, or almost the final column. And it needs to be for schools in Lincolnshire and West Yorkshire. We need a prorated pay figure. So it's their rate of pay divided by 52 or 52.14 multiplied by the number of paid weeks. For Barnet and Hounslow people, it is just the full 52 weeks pay, because your records are slightly different. March return, excuse me, the March return is your last opportunity to notify us of any absences where you haven't previously notified us of any assumed pensionable pay that needs to be included on that member's record. So, as I said, once your March return has been uploaded, we move straight into the production of benefit statements or pension statements. So we will again notify members who've already signed up for their My Pensions. We will notify them that their statements are ready to view. For other members who haven't signed up, we will be sending them a letter encouraging them to sign up. So if we have any blocks and quarantines, firstly, they go straight into your organisation's group tray. So everything goes into the group tray first. You then need to go into the group tray and reassign the process to the individuals who are actually going to be working on it. Some employers last year had problems moving these processes from the group tray to their individual work tray. If this happens, you'll need to contact your employer pension fund representative and they will try and move them for you. You will need to nominate a person to receive all of them. We haven't got time to go, oh, well, this one and this one and this one are going to Joe blogs and half a dozen others are going to somebody else and the rest of them are going somewhere. We just haven't got the capacity to do that. So we will have to move them on bulk. So on your work tray or on your screen, this is what you will see. Hopefully you can see my pointer. So this is the group tray down here. So once you've signed in to the employer portal, you go down to the group tray, and this is where all the processes originally go. You then move them into your own work tray or somebody else's work tray where you can actually work on them. You can't work on the processes in the group tray. They're just there as a landing page for the processes to be moved on to other people. In the group tray, last year we had a problem with the number of processes showing as 0 when actually there were a number of processes in the tray. So this year, if it says 0, just double click on this on the employer and actually go into the work tray and make sure that there aren't any hiding there, because I'm not sure that that problem has been fixed yet. So when you go into your group tray, you will see the number of processes here. Here, it'll tell you whether it is a statement block or a statement quarantine. Now, statement quarantines only have a 6-week lifespan, so you need to get on and deal with these quickly. A statement block means we are missing some information, so we physically can't produce a benefit statement, whereas a quarantine, we have looked at it and we're not quite sure that the information we've got is correct. So we're sending it back out to you with a question mark saying, is this right? Do you need to provide us with more information? Can we actually process and go ahead with it? So you click on the actions and then you choose reassign. You choose the person that you want to actually do that work. So there'll be a drop down list here. And then you click on it and that will disappear out of the group tray and go to the members or your colleagues' work tray. So just be careful that you reassign and don't cancel. Okay, so hopefully that's fairly straightforward, and hopefully most of you will have been doing this for a few years, and this is just a refresher for you. Right, the information that you provide on a monthly return or when completing the blocks and quarantines is what we actually use to produce the benefit statements. Now, this year is also a valuation year, so those figures will also be used by the actuaries to calculate and revise the employer contribution rate for the period from 2023 to 26. So if you don't complete them or you make an error when completing your blocks and quarantine, it's going to have a knock-on effect. And it'll have a knock-on effect on the employer contribution rate. It may be too much, it may be too little. If you've got any doubts, please talk to your employer pension fund rep and we'll help you out. Now, this is the benefit statement a couple of years ago, but the final pay figure that you give us is here, and that is the pay that we use to calculate any pre-2014 service. And then the benefits for that are shown down here. This side, the pay figure here, is the total of the cumulative pay, the CPP that you've been giving us during the year from all your monthly returns, and that is used to calculate the benefit that's been accrued in the last year. And then once we've done the calculation, that figure goes down here, two are added together, and that is the current value of the members' benefits. If you turn the page over, you will see that we have some estimates, and obviously we're using the pay figures that you've given us to project forward. So the first set of figures here is if the individual, if they're over 55, it will either be at age 55 or it'll be 1 month on from the date we send the benefit statement. So if somebody is looking to potentially retire very soon, that gives them a broad brush idea of the benefits they could get. The next figure down is an estimate to their pension at age 60. The next one down is an estimate to the pension at age 65. And finally, it's an estimate of the pension at state pension age. So if you've provided us with incorrect pay figures, it's going to have a knock-on effect on all of these estimates. And the member might be getting all excited about how much they're going to get, when actually they're not, because you've not given us the right figures. So please be careful. Right, blocks and quarantines. There's the two types. One is the block where we either don't have the right information or we've got multiple values of the information. So we may have 2 or 3 values of the final pensionable salary, and we don't know which one is correct. So we will be able to send that out to you. Now, these must be answered by the 9th of August at the latest, because we've got to have time to run the reports, do the calculations and get them off and onto the My Pensions so that the members can view them before the end of August, which is the statutory deadline. Now, if we don't meet that deadline, we have to report to the pensions regulator. And if the pensions regulator sees fit to fine us and it's down to one particular employer, guess where the fine's coming? So the quarantine is the other queries that you may get. And the information that we've got, for some reason or other, something doesn't quite match up with our internal checking, or there's a query on it. As I said earlier, the quarantines has a lifespan of 6 weeks. So if you don't answer in that 6-week period, the information that goes to the member is going to be wrong. The information that's going to the actuaries will be wrong. So please get these done as soon as you can. Now, an individual record may have more than one query. So this particular example here, we've got the job title. So make sure you're looking at the right job if you've got staff that have got multiple jobs. This is the cumulative pensionable pay figure that you've given us. This is the 50-50 figure that you've given us, and the final pay figure. Well, the reason for this block is the fact that we've got multiple values for the pay figure and we don't know which one is correct. So we are asking you to provide us with the correct pensionable pay figure so that we can move it forward and get the statement done. So there are other reasons for blocks. No pay received for the member who's contracted to work full or part-time. Now, if they're contracted to work, we would expect them to have received some pay during the year. If the member was off sick, we would expect to be getting the assumed pensionable pay on the monthly return rather than their actual pay. So that's one problem. Final pay looks low. So we've set a limit of £10,000. So if there's any that are below £10,000, we will query it. However, we know apprentices' pay is often below the £10,000, but we've got to set the bar somewhere. So we've set it at 10,000. If you get any for any apprentices, you'll just have to re-enter the pay. We don't need to know why you're giving us the answers you do. We just need the actual answers. Now, reasons for statement quarantines is it may be that we're missing a month. Now, that could be somebody didn't get paid 1 month. There was a hiccup with the payroll system, and they got paid 2 months the following month. Unfortunately, the computer's very black and white and it can't see that actually there was nothing in June, but July was twice the normal amount. It's not clever enough for that. So you may get a few ones that you'll look at them and go, well, that's so obvious. Unfortunately, the computer isn't quite that clever. If there's been a jump or a fall in their contributions from 1 month to the next, and it's at least 90%, that will cause a query as well. Now, it may be that somebody's had a promotion, or they've had overtime, or they've had a load of backdated pay award, which of course we all got, or I would think most of us got in March this year. So you're getting a whole year's worth of backdated pay in one go. For some people, that may have caused a jump of more than 90%. So just bear in mind when you're doing them, if you were paid late and you were paying extra overtime or anything for that period, you could get a number of those. I shouldn't think we've had any members that have been furloughed during part of the year. I think most people have been back for the whole year now, but just be aware if you have had anyone on furlough that could bring up a query. Now, a suspected leaver, because they've been on, we've had pay and contributions in previous months, but they're not on the March return. And we haven't actually been told they're a leaver. So we are just sort of saying, we think this person's a leaver and you need to do something about it. Now, these checks only apply if somebody is full-time or part-time. Obviously, casuals, we don't expect them to work each month. So we could go several months without receiving pay for them. Further reasons, no data received at all. We do, certainly during furlough, we did have casual workers that didn't do any work at all during the period because they were furloughed. Final pays increased or decreased below, above or below our tolerance. We're only going to be checking those people that have got pre-2014 service. It may be that somebody's had a massive promotion. We're just double checking to make sure that that is correct, because obviously if we're projecting forward, we do want to be projecting forward as accurately as we can possibly manage. Now, when you come to actually answering the blocks and quarantines, you can only, or you need to choose one of the 3 options, or maybe 2 options. If the pay is wrong, or we've got multiple versions of the pay, you need to go in and say, I want to change the pay. That's on both blocks and quarantines. This folder is a lever, self-explanatory. That is on both blocks and quarantines. All pay is correct, so that would be your apprentices. That is only on quarantines. because blocks, we are missing something, so we actually need some input from you. Now, in big red letters, I have put, depending on your system you're using, you may have to use the zoom function to be able to see the drop-down options or to enter the revised figures. The zoom setting needs to be at least 150%. In some cases, it needs to go up to 200. So please bear that in mind. If you can't get a drop-down box, or there's a drop-down box but you can't click in it, adjust your zoom. Okay, so if you want to change the pay, you tell us the annual amount of the pay that you are changing, whether it's the final pay, the CPP, or the 50/50 section. You don't need to explain to us why there is a difference. So you just select yes next to the pay type that you want to change, and then you get another box on this one here. So we've gone, yes, we're going to change the final pay. And then that opens up another box for you to put in the new pay figure. So if you were changing the CPP, we don't want the difference, we want the total for the year, because that will override anything that you've previously given us. And then you simply submit it. You won't get asked for final pay for members that haven't got any pre-2014 service, although you should have provided the full-time pay for everybody on your monthly return. So once you've submitted the new pay figure, the pension statement will be produced, providing it has to go through the checking system again. Providing it meets everything in the checking system, it will then go off and produce a benefit statement. If it fails on something else, because you've given us a pay figure that's a lot higher than it used to be, you may get a query coming back out to you. So incorrect pay figures will produce incorrect pre-2014 figures on the benefit statements, and these figures will be used in the valuation. Again, incorrect CPP or APP will result in an incorrect pension earned in the last year, and this will be used to project possible retirement figures in the future. So again, and incorrect projections for the valuation. So just it has more of a knock-on effect this year than it would have in other years, because we've got a valuation. So this form is a lever, straightforward, self-explanatory. You click on this form is a lever box, but don't forget, you also need to complete a leavers form. Just telling them telling us that they're a leaver isn't going to help us actually produce a deferred benefits calculation or to do a refund. So you need to click on the member's name up here, and it'll open a separate tab in your browser. You will then see the normal leavers notification that you get on the portal. So fill that in and then send it off to us in the normal way. But don't forget to close your browser, the extra tab that's been open. Otherwise you'll have shed loads of tabs and it will slow your computer down no end. So click on the member's name, separate browser opens. Don't forget to close the form once you've submitted the leavers form. Okay. So this is evaluation year, as I keep saying. All active records will be used by the actuaries to project forward and calculate the revised employer's rate. Therefore, it's important that you action all your leavers and retirements as soon as possible, and particularly those identified by the blocks and quarantines. So hopefully you will have already submitted your March return, or you were about to. So anybody that has left during March or is leaving today, please do their leavers or retirement notifications as soon as you can next week, so that we can get them all sorted. So if you don't do that, then the system will treat that individual record as still active. Now, if you've got a senior person who is leaving today, and you've got a new person that started on the 1st of March and they've had a month crossover, that person is going to get counted twice unless you get that leavers form into us, or that position, that job will be counted twice. So please get those leavers forms into us. Right, all pay is correct. This is only available on quarantines, and mostly I would think it will be your apprentices because their pay looks low and it's pulled it out. There may be one or two other reasons why the pay looks different but is actually correct. All you need to do is tell us that it's right. You don't need to explain why. And as soon as we've got the quarantine submitted to us, we'll be able to go ahead and produce the statements. So this is what it looks like. So you've gone into the drop down box, you've selected the all pay is correct, and you just submit it. Now, occasionally we find that records get a bit mixed up. So if the postings have gone on to the incorrect record, because you haven't included the record number on the monthly return, you will need to contact us so that we can physically move it across. There's nothing you can do via the work trays on those ones. So if they need moving, please contact your PFR. But please only send one email per person, because then we can get that email put onto the member's individual record, and we've got an audit trail to show that you've told us that we've done something wrong. Postings have gone on to the wrong records. So the statements will be issued when all the information that we've got passes our checks. All new and revised information's been provided, and that's passed our checks, or you've confirmed that everything is correct, and again everything's passed our internal checks. It will then go off for benefit statement. So out of this session, please note the following. Please action your blocks and quarantines as soon as possible after they're received, or members could get an incorrect benefit statement. Please check your group tray on a regular basis, as things can be returned to you if they fail, or we come across another record that we've been working on, so it hadn't actually got as far as being checked. So please check that regularly. If you have queries, please contact your employer pension fund representative. We're here to help you. So please bear with us. Obviously, from about the end of April, we are extremely busy with these blocks and quarantines, as are you. But if we all work together and get them done nice and quickly, then we can all enjoy some holiday. So thank you for joining us. And if anybody's got any questions, fire away, ask now.